All right, we're going to start in just a second. Once again, let me note that 50% of the Republican delegation is here and only 33% of the Democrats are here. Right. Yeah. The most important Democrats are here, but we would welcome at least two other. If we have two other members, we'll have a quorum. But we're going to start in any event as a subcommittee. So, Senate Judiciary Committee will come to order. Good afternoon. We're holding this committee hearing in room 2100 of the O Street building. I ask that all members of the committee be present in room 2100 so we can establish a quorum. Let me just announce that we have 3 bills on the consent calendar today. So if you're here for one of these bills, it is likely to pass on the consent calendar. File number 3, SB 1333 by Senator Eggman. File number 5, SB 1168 by Senator Limon. And finally, file number 7, SB 1108 by Senator Ochoa Bogue with amendments. All right. Let me just go over the ground rules. They are as follows. For each bill, we'll have 2 primary witnesses in support and 2 primary witnesses in opposition. Each primary witness will have 2 minutes to speak, and our committee secretary, Ms. Erica, will be timing you. And then as for opposition will have 2 primary witnesses, each in opposition with 2 minutes each. After we take support, those of you who wish to provide your Me Too testimony, meaning your name, your affiliation, your position on the bill, you approach the microphone and give us your name, your affiliation, and your position on the bill. We'll do that for support. We'll also do that for opposition. Then we'll turn to the committee for questions from the committee and comments from the committee. If you wish to provide further information on any bill, please go to our website, and that provides you information as to how you might submit comments on pending legislation. All right. So I see we have Senator Blakespeare. You've been here patiently waiting. You must have run from caucus over here. So let us take up your bill. File item number 1, SB 1038. Senator Blakespeare, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Chair. Thank you, Chair and committee members and committee staff. I very much appreciate your work on the committee amendment, which I am happy to accept. Despite California having the best gun safety laws in the nation, we still have areas where we need to improve. Specifically, we need to address places where existing laws aren't working quite as well as they should. Unfortunately, we have several indicators that gun trafficking and gun-involved crimes are growing problems in California. Since there are so many guns in our country, it's not surprising that many firearms end up lost, stolen, and trafficked. According to the ATF, there were over 1 million missing guns reported between 2017 and 2021. As alarming as that sounds, these numbers significantly underrepresent the actual total of missing guns because many people don't report lost or stolen firearms. Lost or stolen firearms are a danger to society because they are prone to being trafficked and used in crimes. In addition, the number of crime guns recovered in the state per capita has grown by close to 70% over the last decade, according to a UC Davis study. Nearly 80,000 traceable guns used in criminality came from just 82 dealers in California. But the strongest indicator that we have a gun trafficking problem, one that is partially fueled by retailers, is that the amount of guns recovered shortly after purchase is growing. The percentage of handguns recovered in a violent crime within 1 year of purchase has tripled. So what can we do about this? SB 1038 does 4 things that will help reduce the amount of guns trafficked within our state. 1, it reduces the amount of time that an individual has to report missing firearms from 5 days to 48 hours. This brings us in alignment with the 11 other states that have shorter reporting times than we do. Number 2, it better equips the Department of Justice to track firearms as they come into our state, not just as they are sold. 3, it increases scrutiny on the dealers most associated with crime guns. And 4, it requires dealers to annually certify their inventories, giving the Department of Justice and local government something to hold them accountable to. SB 1038 will help modernize our handling of firearms in California and take advantage of technological advancements over the last decade. With me today, I'm happy to have Teresa Heimer, president of the San Diegans for Gun Violence Prevention, as my lead witness.
Good afternoon. I am Therese Heimer, the president of San Diegans for Gun Violence Prevention. We are a coalition of 18 local and national groups and are proud co-sponsors of this bill together with the San Diego City Attorney's Office. Senator Blakespear covered the changes this bill makes. I will address a few of the points that have been raised in opposition. First, a claim was made that there is no evidence this bill will reduce gun violence. In fact, in addition to the many studies and statistics cited in the committee's legislative analysis, last week, the ATF released an in-depth report on gun trafficking in the U.S. It found that nearly 1/4 of trafficked firearms are used in further crimes, including homicide and aggravated assault. And nearly 1/4 of the cases involve guns stolen from federal firearm licensees or private people. Second, opponents claim that requiring gun stores to conduct an annual inventory is onerous. I worked almost a decade for a national distributor. An annual inventory is the bare minimum for a responsible business. A dealer that doesn't take inventory is one that is ripe for its guns to be stolen. Even the LAPD Academy gun store learned this lesson back in 2021 when its inadequate inventory practices allowed theft of dozens of law enforcement weapons. In 2022, the ATF only inspected 9% of licensed firearm dealers, and the Cal DOJ now will do so every 3 years. Annual inventories between those inspections are needed. Third, opponents claim that a 48-hour report is unrealistic. 48 hours is already the standard required of dealers. This change makes the time frame consistent for all. Reporting theft quickly means law enforcement can enter stolen firearms into the data systems, which are connected and dispersed throughout the country. See something, say something is a bedrock concept to keep us all safe. I ask for your aye vote. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Next witness.
Jamie Miner on behalf of Giffords, as well as extending our support on behalf of our colleagues over at Brady. Pleased to support and appreciate the senator's ongoing leadership on this issue.
Thank you. All right. Other witnesses in support, please approach.
Danny Offer with Everytown for Gun Safety in support of the bill. Thanks.
Thank you.
Good afternoon, Mr. Chair and Senators. Rosanna Carvacho Elliott here on behalf of the City of Alameda in support.
Thank you. Others in support, seeing no one else approach the microphone. Now let's call for the opposition. If you're opposed to SB 1038, please approach the microphone. Seeing no one approach the microphone. All right. Let's now turn to committee members. Questions by committee members. Seeing no questions or comments, at the appropriate time, Senator Durazo will move the bill. We now are short 2 members. So what we'll do, Senator Blakespear, is when we have a quorum, I understand Senator Durazo will make the motion, and then we'll then take it up for a vote. So thank you very much.
I respectfully ask for your aye vote.
I'm
Thank you.
sorry, I forgot. Yes, go ahead
Thank you.
and close. There you go. That was it. All right. Fantastic. All right. Senator Bradford. I see Senator Bradford here. After Senator Bradford, then Senator Limon, and then Senator Menjivar. Senator Bradford, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Mr. Chair and members. I'm here to present SB 1403. This would establish the California American Freedman Affairs Agency for the purpose of implementation, oversight, and monitoring of policies and laws enacted relating to reparations, similar to that was stood up in this country in 1863. It would also require the agency to oversee and monitor existing state agencies and departments tasked with engaging in direct implementation of reparations policies, similar to what we stood up in 2018 for the tribal affairs dealing with Native Americans here in the state of California. This bill is a recommendation from the California Reparations Task Force, which I spent 2 years of my life on, and the final report clearly speaks to the importance of this measure. It is also among the most essential of the report's 115 recommendations. This agency will be the necessary foundation for the implementation and success of reparations. The most important responsibility of this agency will have is determining which individual are eligible for reparation programs and services this legislature will enact. These individuals being descendants of African-American enslaved persons in the United States or chattel slavery, or descendants of Black person living in the United States prior to the end of the 19th century. SB 1403 will create a genealogical office to provide access to expert genealogical research to confirm reparations eligibility and expedite assistance with the reparations claims process. Many people ask, why California? They said California was a free state in name only. We did everything a slave state did. If you were brought here as a slave, you were treated as such. If you were pregnant and gave birth here as a slave, your child was born a slave. We had a fugitive slave law. So if you ran away and came to California, there was a bounty to take you back to the plantation or state that you escaped from. So we were a free state in name only. And the first governor of the state of California owned slaves, Peter Barnett. And so why should we be responsible for reparations at all? And as I stated, while there's no way, and should I say, while in no way does this bill excuse the federal government or local governments from taking action, California still bears some responsibility. State government permitted and committed grave injustices against African Americans. These injustices included enslavement, legal public and private segregation, discrimination in state funding and programming, and stigmatization. And if you don't believe me, I challenge you to read the 1,100-page report. And if not the 1,100-page report, at least the executive summary. This agency is the first step for California to take actions to right these wrongs that have existed for so long here in California and across the United States. SB 1403 is about demonstrating our state's commitment to not only recognizing its past, but also taking meaningful actions toward equitable future. With me today to provide expert testimony is Camilla Moore, attorney and a scholar and chair of the Reparations Task Force. And I thank you and I respectfully ask for our aye vote.
Thank you, Senator Bradford. Ms. Moore?
Esteemed members of the Senate Judiciary Committee, my name is Camila Moore, and I am privileged to have served as the chair of the California Reparations Task Force. Today, I advocate with a sense of urgency and purpose for the passage of SB 1403, a groundbreaking bill poised to establish the California American Freedmen Affairs Agency. This agency symbolizes a crucial stride towards reparative justice, particularly for those whose lineage traces back to enslaved ancestors. Like Senator Bradford said, through rigorous research, the California Task Force has unveiled harrowing disparities that descendants of slaves still face in California, painting a stark picture in inequality across multiple sectors. For example, descendants of slaves, families, their median net worth of wealth languishes at less than 0.1% of white families, exposing systemic economic barriers. In terms of businesses, entrepreneurs who are descendants of slaves are 3 times more likely to be denied bank loans than their peers, crippling potential for growth and innovation. In terms of health, infants who are descendants of slaves are more likely to die at double the rate of their first birthday than their counterparts, highlighting glaring inequities in health across health access and outcomes. These statistics are not mere numbers, but reflect real lives diminished by systemic injustices, a legacy of slavery and systemic discrimination perpetuated by the state of California. And so this agency seeks to dismantle these barriers, advocating for and implementing reparation measures that address these deep-rooted disparities. The agency, also I would note that the Berkeley Intergovernmental Studies poll indicates that yes, 59% of Californians oppose direct cash payments, but that same exact survey reveals a broader consensus for action. A majority believe that the state has not done enough for descendants of slaves in this state, and 60% of those polls acknowledge that the enduring impact of slavery still impacts the lives of descendants today. Yes, I respectfully ask for your aye vote. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Other witnesses in support? Seeing no one else approach the microphone, if you're in support, please approach the microphone and provide us your name, your affiliation, and your position on the bill.
Good afternoon, Chris Lodgson, Coalition for a Just and Equitable California, on behalf of the American Redress Coalition of California, Sacramento, American Redress Coalition of California, Bay Area, the California Black Lineage Society, the Lineage Equity and Advancement Project, all in strong support.
Thank you.
Kelsey Lyles with the Bay Area Regional Health Inequities Initiative and strong support.
Thank you.
Good afternoon. Kim Mims with California Coalition for a Just and Equitable California, American Redress Coalition of California, ARC Sacramento, and Amend the Mass Media in strong support. I urge and I vote. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yes, good afternoon. Darlene Crumity, member of the Coalition for a Just and Equitable California, a member of the American Redress Coalition of California Bay Area, and I am strongly in support of SB 1403. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I'm sorry to interrupt your presentation, Senator Bradford, but let us establish a quorum here. All right. Madam Secretary, if you would call the roll for purposes of establishing a quorum.
Umberg,
Here.
Umberg here, Wilk,
Present.
Wilk present, Allen, Ashby, Ashby here, Caballero, Durazo, Durazo here, Laird, Laird here, Min, Nilo, Stern, Stern here, Wahab. You have a quorum.
All right. Thank you very much. All right. Now excuse me, we'll turn to opposition to SB 1403. If you're opposed to SB 1403, please approach the microphone. Seeing no one approach the microphone, let us now turn to committee members. Questions by committee members. Senator Laird.
I actually have a comment. I think this is a good direction and an important direction, and I wanted to point out, since the author struggled with the word genealogical, but we all knew what you meant. And the Ancestry.com has actually posted the Freedman's records, and there was a special workshop in the basement of the Capitol with them to work on descendants that might work in the Capitol community, and they made great progress. And it was really of assistance. And so citing that means that those records really exist in a way that's meaningful. And in fact, I know there were stations established at the African American Museum in Los Angeles to try to allow for people to access these records to determine exactly what the author and the witnesses were saying. And so I think this is a good step forward, and at the appropriate time, I will move the bill.
All right. Thank you very much. Other questions or comments? Seeing none. Senator Bradford, we're operating as a subcommittee at the Oh, no, I'm sorry. You're right. Thank you very much, Madam Secretary. We have established a quorum, and it's been moved by Senator Laird. So would you like to close?
Thank you, Mr. Chair and members. This is a common sense measure. Again, something that's long overdue for California and this nation to come to a reckoning of a debt that is owed to people that helped build this country. This is straightforward. It's common sense. Again, it's not charity. It's not a promise. It's 160 years overdue, and this will help us implement the agency to help move forward in determining what reparations should look like here in the state of California. And I respectfully ask for a vote.
Thank you very much. All right. Madam Secretary, please call the roll. Did you accept the committee amendments?
Yes.
Yes. Okay, great. All right.
This is file item number 2, SB 1403. The motion is to pass as amended to governmental organization. Umberg?
Aye.
Umberg, aye. Wilk? Allen? Ashby? Caballero? Durazo? Durazo, aye. Laird?
Aye.
Laird, aye. Min? Nilo? Stern? Wahab. 3-0.
3-0. We'll put that on call. Thank you,
Thank
Senator
you.
Bedford. I see Senator Limon. Senator Limon.
Mr. Chair,
Yes.
if you would like, I would move the Blakespeare bill and then the consent agenda if you want to catch up.
Why don't we do that? All right.
Then I would move item number 1, SB 1038 by Senator
I think Senator Durazo already requested that she be the moving member on SB 10.
happily defer.
Right. All right.
Whatever gets us
All right.
to the vote.
Senator Durazo's moved SB 1038. Madam Secretary, would you please call the roll?
This is file item number 1, SB 1038. The motion is to pass as amended to Senate Appropriations. Umberg?
Aye.
Umberg, aye. Wilk?
No.
Wilk, no. Allen? Ashby? Caballero? Durazo? Durazo, aye. Laird?
Aye.
Laird, aye. Min? Nilo? Stern? Wahab. 3-1.
3-1. We're going to put that on call. All right, Senator Limon, and then
I would move
Thank
the
you.
consent agenda, which is
Fortunate to have a
items
secretary
3,
who's
5,
attentive.
and 7.
Thank you. All right, thank you, Senator Laird. On the consent calendar, please call the roll.
Umberg?
Aye.
Umberg, aye. Wilk?
Aye.
Wilk I. Allen, Ashby, Caballero, Durazo, Durazo I. Laird,
Aye.
Laird I. Min, Nilo, Stern, Wahab. 4-0.
4-0, put that on call. All right, Senator Lamone, you've been patient. After Senator Lamone, we're gonna have Senator Menjivar, then Senator Skinner. Senator Lamone, item number 4, SB 1036.
Thank you. I present to you SB 1036, which would establish clear protections for purchasers of carbon offsets. This bill builds on California's longstanding false advertising law by specifying our expectations for business activities related to carbon offsets. Carbon offsets are tradable financial instruments that claim to represent a reduction of greenhouse gases in the atmosphere. Unfortunately, academic researchers and investigative reporters have uncovered many examples of offset projects that simply fail to deliver the claimed carbon benefit. This bill focuses on voluntary offsets, as implied by their name. These offsets are purchased on a voluntary basis and are not related to legal requirements or regulatory programs like compliance offsets in our cap and trade program. There are two general problems with allowing low-quality offsets to remain unaddressed. First, consumers are harmed when they did not get what they pay for. A consumer who purchases an offset to mitigate the emissions associated with an international flight, for example, expects that offset to actually deliver an environmental benefit. And even more commonly, businesses make green claims, such as their products being net zero or carbon neutral. If that business relies on low quality offsets to support such claim, the consumer may be misled to believe that their consumption has no negative environmental impacts. The second general problem with low quality offsets is their potential to undermine our climate goals. Corporations who purchase low quality offsets may ignore changes in their own operations that could reduce their emissions directly. SB 1036 provides legally enforceable standards for voluntary carbon offsets, a policy that is long overdue in California and for our climate. Testifying in support today is Melissa Romero from the California Environmental Voters.
Thank you, Chair and committee members. Melissa Romero with California Environmental Voters here in support of SB 1036. This bill is a critical step towards ensuring the integrity of voluntary carbon offsets markets and holding corporations accountable for their environmental commitments. The philosophy behind carbon offsets is to incentivize GHG reductions that are most cost-effective or more cost-effective than direct emissions reductions. However, the current lack of regulation in these markets have led to significant issues, particularly with low quality offsets. And this bill really aims to address the rampant problem of junk offsets, which often fail to deliver the promised carbon reductions. There are examples of offsets backed by projects with dubious claims of carbon benefits, from falsely labeled forest lands that were clear-cut to renewable energy projects that were already in motion. These offsets do not live up to their promises. Not only do they deceive consumers, but they also undermine our climate goals and divert funding from more effective projects. Relying on offsets that later prove to be ineffective only perpetuates rising emissions, and SB 1036 is a common sense measure to protect consumers and our environment, ensuring that offsets truly deliver on the promised climate benefits. Corporate accountability is essential in this context. Companies that purchase offsets to meet their net zero goals must be able to rely on the accuracy and effectiveness of these offsets. Otherwise, their environmental commitments become meaningless, and rather than genuine efforts to combat climate change. SB 1036 will establish these enforceable prohibitions on the issuance and sale of offsets that fail to deliver real, quantifiable, and additional climate benefits. And by defining clear expectations and standards, this bill will restore confidence in voluntary offset markets and prevent Californians from falling victim to false promises, while ensuring that corporations are held accountable for their environmental commitments. And for those reasons, we urge your support of SB 1036.
Thank you very much. Others in support, SB 1036. Ms. Stone?
Good afternoon, Chair and members. Kim Stone of Stone Advocacy on behalf of Consumer Watchdog in support, and I've also been asked to relay the support of NextGen, who couldn't make it here.
Thank you.
Good afternoon, Paul Mason with Pacific Forest Trust, also in support. Offsets can work when they are reliable.
Very much.
Also for defenders of wildlife.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right.
Kendra Harris with the Climate Center in strong support.
Thank you. Others in support? Tweener. Okay, tweeners. We'll have one tweener.
Support if amended, please. Isabella Gonzalez Potter with the Nature Conservancy. We have a support if amended position and submitted a letter to the committee to reflect that. Thank you.
All right. Thank you very much. All right, let's turn to opposition. Those opposed?
Good afternoon, Jessica Bede with ACR, carbon crediting program and registry serving California's compliance offset program, as well as the voluntary market. We strongly oppose SB 1036 and urge this committee to do the same. ACR deeply values integrity within the carbon markets, and my team works every day to ensure the accuracy and legitimacy of carbon credits issued to project developers who are doing the work here in California and elsewhere to reduce greenhouse gas emissions. Carbon offsets are key to achieving significant reductions beyond what is mandated and otherwise feasible. In recent years, we've seen a significant uptick in corporate climate pledges, reporting and disclosure rules, as well as global frameworks to ensure credit quality, all efforts that we support. Unfortunately, SB 1036 will crater the carbon markets by introducing unworkable provisions and unnecessarily increasing liability for good actors. If this bill passes, opponents of offsets will rush to file lawsuits. That will inevitably lead to conflicting rulings because courts cannot reasonably be expected to adjudicate the intricacies of the underlying science of greenhouse gas accounting, let alone the vague, misguided, and ill-defined provisions of SB 1036. The language cannot be fixed, intentional or not. The uncertainty and ambiguity will eliminate carbon markets as an incentive structure for both desperately needed investments in nature-based solutions, as well as highly effective reductions in potent superpollutants. The nuisance lawsuits will
SB
come.
490,
They will
introduced
bog
by
down the courts.
Senator
They will
Stephen
shut
Bradford, is the first legislation that will create the California American Freedman Affairs Agency.
The CAFA agency is a recommendation from the California Reparations Task Force final report.
Possible offices within the agency could include genealogy, strategic communications, data research collection,
as well as general counsel with social services and family affairs.
Tell your representative to support the upcoming 2024 reparations legislation.
Find them at findyourrep.legislature.ca.gov.